Welcome to the Bible Feed podcast, a place for conversations about the Bible and faith in the modern world, where ordinary people come together to help each other understand the Bible better. Let's get started.
So welcome back to Bible Feed. I'm here with Dan Weatherall. My name's Paul Davenport, and we've reached a milestone in the life of the Bible Feed podcast. It's quite a small milestone, but we feel it's an important one. This is our 10th podcast. Okay, it's only a small milestone, and hopefully it's the first in many milestones. But rather than picking a Bible topic to think about for this episode, this conversation, we thought we'd just chat about why we started this in the first place. What was the aim of Bible Feed and this podcast, and what we plan to do in the future?
Yeah, it's probably about time, isn't it? And we're doing an introduction now to what we're about. But I think having sort of felt our way through and had some really good conversations on some really important topics, I think we can sort of really, launch the things that we're trying to do here, I suppose. So. Yeah. And I think one way of explaining what we're trying to achieve with Bible Feed is just thinking through our sort of mission statement, a strap line, as it were. That's probably somewhere to start, I think.
Okay, so that's on our the website, biblefeed.org.
Yeah, it's up there, and it's about, we're here to create and share good quality content for the Christadelphian community to help everyone understand the Bible better, ourselves included. It's us. We're on this journey as well. Yeah. So, that's kind of the raison d'etre, isn't it? What we're here to do. So I guess if we unpack each part of that.
And I think it's probably a good idea to kind of work backwards through that okay. statement. So the end of it was to understand the Bible better. Now we're not unique in trying to do that. There are a lot of people trying to understand the Bible better, which is great. But there are so many blogs and pages for Facebook, YouTube channels and podcasts. In fact, I Googled, other search engines are available, Christian podcasts. And I think it was the second option came up as top 90 Christian podcasts you should follow in 2020. So I doubt we've made it into the top 100 or even the top 90 just yet. But there's a lot of voices out there, I guess, talking about the Bible, whether it's critical voices or people trying to understand it and make it real in their lives. So the obvious question is there room for another one? What do you think?
Yeah, and it's very valid, isn't it? That, I think we've got something to offer, and I suppose what we've got to offer is something that we talk about in the descriptor to the podcast. The fact that we're ordinary people, or at least I like to think of myself as ordinary. About you, you're pretty sort of
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. And the people we get on here, we're ordinary people. What we mean by that is that we're not scholars. We're not the people who sort of in a tier above that are spending a long time of their lives devoting themselves to that. I mean, it's great that people do that. But we're pretty ordinary people, day-to-day lives and jobs and normal circumstances. Everyone we have on this podcast, certainly to date and probably for a long time, we're all part of a lay community. So, we're part of a community of people that all pitch in and help. And so I guess there's something that we might be able to connect with other ordinary people. There's lots of ordinary people out there, and we're on that level.
And that I guess I didn't go down the list of the top 90 Christian podcasts, but some of those will be very scholarly in their content and outlook, and really quite tough to get your head around and understand what's being talked about. And others will be kind of purely practical. How do I live from day to day? And so maybe as a part of a community which is a lay community, we'll perhaps think about what that means in a moment. We're sort of in the middle of those two extremes. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think so. Because I guess with a community that's reliant on people who are trained to purely give their to lead as a pastor or whatever. The rest of the community, perhaps there is less onus on them to develop their own skills of understanding the Bible. Whereas the community where we're all trying to do that together is perhaps what we're used to, and what we hope we can sort of develop more for ourselves, but also for others to pitch in and enjoy doing together to really.
Yeah. So maybe I should just for the benefit of those listeners who perhaps haven't come across it before or aren't used to what it means, what is a lay community? And I guess the term comes from, laity as opposed to clergy in a church structure. And a lay community is essentially one that has no full-time clergy, ministry and so on. So the people doing the work, doing the studying, doing the praying, the presenting, are all just members of the community.
Yeah. And those doing the podcasts.
Indeed. Yeah. And it's, I find being part of a community like that has some real benefit. It can be a really positive, exciting community to be a part of, as you all have a common interest in seeking to understand the Bible better. Is that how you find it too?
Yeah, it is. And it strikes me that, parts of the Bible imagine communities of Bible readers, come together who love God's word, who love the Psalms, who love the law.
Yeah.
Throughout the time, there's been these sort of pockets of believers and people who enjoy spending time around, understanding the Bible and trying to navigate it. And it's complicated at times, but trying together to help each other sort of understand things better.
Yeah, and perhaps a good example of a feature of the community is just working through a Bible reading program, or a Bible reading plan during the year, and you'll find that many people in our community will be following the same plan. That gives everyone a sort of baseline level of familiarity with the Bible. And that seems to be something that is very, very biblical, as in terms of reading the Bible together out loud. I remember hearing on another podcast, actually, somebody talking about that experience of sitting down with a handful of people and reading a passage of the Bible, and they said this was a really unusual thing for them to do as part of their community, and that's kind of the bread and butter of a lay community, doing that kind of thing together.
Yeah, and it is great that others, are discovering that, and I'm sure there's many others who do that as well. So it's I think there's a lot of value in it, and I hope we can sort of capture some of that in the things that we, the conversations that we have, and the things that we're able to bring to these topics.
Yeah, and it seems to me anyway, I don't know what you think, that the Bible is not really intended. It wasn't written to be studied in a dark corner by one person on their own. Right down through ancient history and through history, it's been read together in groups and discussed, and that's kind of the whole point. You read something, you think about it, you have an idea about it, and you put it out there, and other people look at it and say what they think about it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's lots of examples of that. I mean, things in the New Testament where there's different roles of people in the church, and nearly all of those roles would be non-existent if you were sitting on your own practicing Christianity. And even things like the fruit of the Spirit in Galatians. These things, you need to be part of that a community to show those things. So I think that's a huge part of what we want to maintain and try and develop.
Yeah, bring ideas out. And I found a quote from a very important scholar, Winnie the Pooh, who says, when you're a bear of very little brain and you think of things, you find sometimes that a thing which seemed very thingish inside you is quite different when it gets out into the open and has other people looking at it. And that's kind of
it's good.
Fantastic description of what you have to do. And it's the control, isn't it, around ideas that you have.
Yeah.
Let other people look at them, think about them. Yeah, and that's what I want to
do.
Good.
Yeah. So together, then we're trying to understand the Bible better. That's part of our statement, isn't it? And I suppose that's just huge, isn't it? And we'll be here for. There's plenty more material for more than 10 podcasts. Things like understanding the world behind the Bible, different writers in the Bible, and trying to develop techniques for each other to learn to read the Bible better. Things like that. There's a whole lot of stuff to sort of deal with. And we said we're ordinary people, as in we're not the scholars, but there's a whole lot of important approaches, I suppose, isn't there, to pick up this text and dealing with it and reading it sensibly or responsibly. So, there is a wealth of material that I guess we try and draw on those that have spent a long time researching and therefore be able to sort of bring some of this in an accessible way.
And as you say, we are learning and growing as we do it in our understanding. It's all too easy to have a way of reading a particular passage, and once you've read it that way, you find it difficult to look at it a different way. But that's it's always good to be challenged in that way. So let's work backwards through that mission statement. So understand the Bible better, but we're sharing content from the Christadelphian community. So we've talked about we're a lay community. So both you and I, Dan, are members of the Christadelphian community, which is perhaps not a name that is that familiar. It's just to explain a bit of its background. It's the English form of two Greek words, Christos, obviously, Christ, and adelphoi. So it basically means Christ's brothers and sisters. That is his family. So that, even the name, I guess, conveys something of the non-hierarchical nature of what we are in the lay community that we've described. But there is perhaps a unique contribution that, as a community, we can bring to that mass of Christian voices that are out there, which is that we're coming from the perspective of being biblical Unitarians rather than Trinitarians. And again, rather like our milestone at the beginning, it's not a massive claim, but I think we are the largest global church community that is biblical Unitarian. So it's not a well-represented perspective and position within all those 90 podcasts. Those top 90 are probably there is no other that is coming from that perspective.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. That I think does immediately then give us something else to be an important part of the conversation, I suppose. So hopefully we'll be covering, what that means. What is biblical Unitarianism? What is, what is our perspective on the Trinity and where that came from, and things like that. We'll think about in future episodes. But I suppose in summary, this means that we see, I say, have an extremely high view of Jesus as a man, as the Son of God, not someone who consciously pre-existed, but who achieved something which is remarkable through the help of God, his Father, and has been highly exalted, therefore, after his resurrection, and given a name above every name, to paraphrase things. So, that sort of, I guess, summarizes it, do you think? Rather than a view of Jesus pre-existing part of the Godhead. And that's...
And that's, there are some implications to that different perspective, which have manifested themselves over time and over history. And, in the way the church has organized itself, the nature of its worship, the nature of the role of priests, and thinking about what atonement and forgiveness and all of those theological terms, what those mean. And the biblical Unitarian view kind of leads to a particular position on those things, which may sound different from other Christian denominations. And I think one of the things I would like to get out of putting our position, our perspective out there and inviting it to be looked at by others, is to understand other people's position better, to understand, where the Trinitarian view comes from. This is not about having a to and fro argument. It's about understanding different perspectives. And I think in the current nature of Christianity and movements within Christianity today, that seems like that's possible to do. It's a good time to do it in an open and honest and reflective way that gives glory to God.
Yeah, I think so. I guess too often we and others from other perspectives may have been dismissive of other people or it's I guess human nature, isn't it? Dismiss people with a different point of view without thinking through what they're trying to say. So I think that's a virtuous thing to try and do, and hopefully we'll be able to do that and enjoy some being part of that conversation. There is you said about now being a good time. There is what is fascinating and has been for us, few years, 10 years or whatever. There is a shift, isn't there, happening? Or there certainly are big, significant movements in certain areas of theology within the wider Christian umbrella towards features and views that have always been part of the Christadelphian view, which we obviously will find fascinating and something that would like to explore more. So things like the atonement and
Yeah, you're right. And I get the sense that with perhaps, and maybe it's a feature of modern Western society, there is less reliance and credence placed on institutions and traditions, and people within the Christian movement generally feel free to just explore the Bible for themselves and consider what it says. And a fair chunk of those 90 podcasts that I keep referring to are probably people who have sort of done a bit of deconstructing of a faith tradition and are sort of building it back up again from the Bible itself. And that is inevitably a great place to be talking, debating, discussing, looking at the scriptures together, and bringing different perspectives to it with, as I say, just openness and honesty.
Absolutely, yeah. And reappraising what you believe based on searching the scriptures is something that has always been a part of our community, hasn't it? I mean, maybe sometimes more than others and some parts more than others. But, it is a feature. Certainly, it's kind of born out of that very deconstructing orthodoxy and searching for something that's more biblically sort of solid.
And I think we may well find that because, bringing together conversations from people from different faith traditions about essentially the same topic, whether it's God or the nature of Jesus or the nature of humanity and what is salvation. Each of those parties bring with them a sort of vocabulary, and you've got to sort of learn to speak to each other in ways that just say clearly what we're talking about, rather than relying on terminology and so on. So we've talked a little bit there about two features, I guess, that we hope to bring to the myriad of voices that are out there, which is the sort of lay community. Let's look at the Bible as ordinary people for whom the scriptures were intended to understand it better together, but also that particular perspective from the biblical Unitarian point of view to bring that into the debate as well. So that's the contribution we hope to bring, and I guess we've made a start on that. We've got to episode 10. Yeah. So let's just have a quick chat about what we've done so far. It's not just the podcast, and then what we're hoping to do, God willing, in the next few months.
Yeah, sure. So we've got a Facebook page, which is the podcasts are up there, and some of the video or trimmed down videos of the podcast episodes. Most of them we've got up there, which are really good sort of little summaries of the things that we're discussing. So short highlights or something like that.
Sort of 5 minutes of the key points.
Yeah,
which is in no way intended to mean that you don't have to listen to the whole.
No. You've got to listen to the whole thing. yeah, more than once, preferably. Yeah. Take notes. Yeah. They're useful. I hope. Sort of get the key sense of the things that we're discussing, or even to sort of look back and see the things that we've done before. In the past, and that can direct you to the full podcast. So things are things like that are there on the Facebook page, and then of course the website as well is there. With all those.
So I think we started out in earnest pretty much when the COVID lockdown started. And we had some panel discussion sessions, didn't we, with kind of 3 or 4 people, discussing things like, why believe in a God, or how to read the Bible and things like that.
Yeah. So we did some Bible Feed Live sessions, which was great fun to do. And they're all available as well. Obviously, they're recorded, and they're up on the Facebook page and the website. I think there's scope to maybe do some more of those at a future point.
And very much with the podcast that developed out of that. But so far, it's been a bit of a random selection of topics. It's almost been, well, who would like to talk about something? So we have covered a fair bit, actually. When you look at it, we've covered prophecy, the role of prophecy. I said not just we've done prophecy. We picked out some key words and almost done word study type theme studies like grace and faith and the spirit. But we started to get into some of the how the Bible is written and how we therefore should read it. So we've looked at some examples of Jesus' parables, which is really interesting. Why stories can be so powerful. And we've looked recently at the text of the 4 Gospels. So quite a bit quite a bit going on there.
Yeah, and the interface between the Bible and history. So where where the Bible makes historical claims and how to sort of navigate that. That's a huge topic. Each of those things you've just mentioned, they're vast topics. We've touched on some features of them that we think are useful or we think are important. There's so much more, and
so I guess we'll have to be careful not to just skate across those big issues, and make sure we dive into some detail in some of the episodes to come.
Yeah, that's something I'd like to see. That I think these overview topics are really, really good, but to supplement them with some deeper sort of series, I think would be really, really useful. So.
Yeah, and I think you've been picking off some of those topics and writing some blogs for the website, which are on the website.
Yeah, so there's a few blog articles now on the website. So the website, which is biblefeed.org, and there's all the things we've talked about so far are on there. It's a bit of a hub for everything that we're producing, all the resources, everything there accessible to browse. You can download the podcasts, you can view the quotes that we've sort of put out on social media, the images that we circulate. You can look at the webinars, you can look at the highlight videos, and then the blog. Yeah, so we've got there's a blog there which takes the parable of the two sons, the parable of the lost son or the prodigal son.
The prodigal son, yeah.
However you know it, that we looked at in the podcast you just referred to. It's pride and the power of parables.
Yeah.
So took a portion of that, shaped it into a blog post, and that's there as well. And there's a few others as well to look at. So that will grow, and there'll be plenty more to read.
Yeah, and I think there's some links out to other material from the Christadelphian community,
definitely,
as well, which is worth looking at. And so feel free to use any of that material as you wish. So there's another thing that we've been working on, which we're hoping will be available very soon, which I'm quite excited about, but also quite nervous about because it's quite a big step, and that is to set up an online course about learning to read the Bible effectively. We've had some sort of online core self-learning material on a website for a while on a different page, but it's been very kind of old-fashioned style PDFs. Read a PDF and then answer some questions, which is fine, and lots of people have used it. It's been really popular, but we want to get it out there in a good interactive e-learning format. So I'm not going to put a date on when we're going to release that, but I'm hoping it will be. It'll be before the end of the year.
Yeah. You just put a date.
Have that available. Yeah. But I'm fairly confident in that.
Okay.
So it's 12 session course that goes through all sorts of different aspects of reading the Bible and how to do it effectively. So, I think that's going to be great for people to work through and learn, hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah. Another part of the things that we really hope will help people to learn together with us.
Yeah. So if we're at episode 10 now, and we've been doing these every couple of weeks. So if we get through to this time next year, another 25 episodes or so, we'll be getting on for 35, 40 episodes, all being well. So thinking forward to this time next year, what do you think we should have done by then? What would you like to have seen us done by then?
I want to go live again. That was good fun.
Yeah, it is good.
Some point in the new year, I think it'd be great to do another sort of series of Bible Feed Live.
Yeah,
which would then, I think, probably naturally feed into the podcast as an episode there, because not everyone can get to live things. So so that would be good. And then I think a variety of subjects is great, but it'd be great to dive in and get something in detail. Maybe even dive into one of the Gospels to really grips with what's going on there, how to read one of those, and introduce Jesus more fully. And that's I think once assuming we get the Learn to Read the Bible Effectively course done before the end of this year, then I'd like us to do another course, maybe around the Gospels. So we'll get regular podcasts and and some kind of special event live panel discussion
special guest type things, and then
special guests, special ordinary guests.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. We're using a very wide definition of ordinary. I think.
Yeah.
So
if we qualify, then
yeah. So I think that's about what we've got to say and what we've got planned. So
that's what we're hoping to do, and it's great. It's a journey that we're on as well, and hopefully it's something that everyone else, you listeners, you can come on it with us as well. That's be part of the journey. That's another part of what we're here for. So we hope, what we really hope is that you'll listen and watch the things that we put out. What would be really great is to hear feedback. We'd absolutely love to let us know what you're thinking. Comments, whether you've got any questions or anything like that. We've already done one episode, which was a response to a question. Yeah. It's excellent to be able to do that, to think about the topics that others are thinking about as well.
Yeah.
That's really, really valuable. So definitely get in touch. Tell us how we're doing. Share your thoughts, and I suppose it's all about getting you and others and everyone to read the Bibles, get it out, read it for yourself. Yeah. This is about learning to understand the Bible better, so that you all, everyone, can pick it up, read it, and feel like it's not all a mystery or anything like that. It's just something that we can get some level of understanding from it.
Yeah, and find a couple of people to do it with. Maybe less than 6 at this point. 6 or less, so maybe over Zoom or something like that.
Yeah. It's certainly our local audience. That's the case.
Yeah.
The rule of 6 in the UK. Get together, but like we are now. And then whatever you like, find us on the social media. And share it. Go ahead and tell people. It would be great if you could tell people all about it, like it, share it, comment, tag all your friends, and leave a review if you're listening to the podcast in iTunes or
follow them, subscribe to them. Yeah, it's on all the usual places that you find podcasts.
Those are the 90. There's 91 now.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And we're working our way up. Okay, well, I think that, so the website is, as Dan said, biblefeed.org. Just look for Bible Feed on Facebook or on YouTube and you'll find us and the material that we're putting together. And I hope you'll be with us as we pursue this journey together and understand the Bible better with you. Thanks for listening, and see you again soon.
Thank you.
You've been listening to the Bible Feed podcast. Thanks for joining us. We're always keen to hear what you think, hear your questions or subjects you'd like to discuss. So get in touch with us on our Facebook page or send a message from our webpage at biblefeed.org and be part of the journey.